Good evening. Tonight I'm calling for Yvette Cooper to resign as Home Secretary. She appealed the decision to force the Bell Hotel in Epping to close, and today her lawyers said this in court. The rights of asylum seekers trump the rights of local British people. There it is. Our Home Secretary arguing that the rights of illegal immigrants who've just broken into Britain outweigh the rights of hard-working British taxpayers. Her position is now untenable, in my view. But there's more. Yvette Cooper's lawyers also argued that allegations of serious sexual assault are not a good enough reason to close a migrant hotel. Now, just to clarify, the allegations about one man at the Epping Hotel involve a 14-year-old girl in school uniform. He denies the charges, but how can anybody elected to represent the people of Great Britain argue that allegations of sexual assault against a British schoolgirl are not sufficient grounds to shut a migrant hotel? Another reason she should resign is, in my opinion, incompetence. The Home Secretary did not intervene in the case that was at the High Court. That's where they originally decided that they should be shutting this hotel down. She didn't intervene in that until the very last minute, just before the judge was due to deliver his verdict. Why was that? Well, it emerged in court again today that her lawyers said this. The lawyers said, yes, I agree, that was unsatisfactory of us. It was brought on at short notice, the window was extremely tight, and listen to this very closely, everybody. It was in August. That, in the real world, does create difficulties. You know what they mean, I suspect, is that Yvette Cooper was on holiday. She was interrailing with her husband Ed Balls as all of this was blowing up, and that is inexcusable. She should go for that alone, actually. Then we've got the fact that her migrant deal with the French is crumbling.
France has now agreed that they will now start to intervene in French waters in order to prevent small boats.
Right, and now the French police are refusing to stop the boats in the water because it's too cold. They're not doing it. She's the opposite of Midas. Everything she touches turns to rubbish. But there was another interesting development today that I would like you to be aware of. One of the judges hearing the case about the Bell Hotel is Lord Justice Bean. Now, I don't want to claim that Lord Justice Bean is anything other than a totally professional, impartial, well-qualified member of the judiciary. I just wanted to highlight his interesting past. Lord Justice Bean was reportedly a member of the Labour Party for 28 years and the former chairman of the Socialist Fabian Society. He also founded Matrix Chambers, the same chambers where the Attorney General, Lord Hermer, worked, and the lawyer who acted for Mauritius against Britain over the Chagos Islands, Philippe Sands KC. Again, we have to assume that he is capable of acting completely impartially. Anyway, today the Home Secretary argued that the rights of illegal migrants trump those of British people. She's said the unsayable. She has to go. Let's get her thoughts from my panel. This evening we have got Tory peer Lord Bailey, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, former advisor to the Labour Party Matthew Larser. Sean, I'll start with you. Does she have to go over what we've heard in court today, do you think?
I'll say this, the Home Secretary's job is in the title Home Secretary. She's meant to be looking after us above all people, straight away, first thought, last thought, the people of this country. If she's not doing that, I think the people of this country will have to express their will in an election. It's an astonishing statement to say that her department would take the welfare of foreign nationals seeking asylum or not above that of British nationals. That is a very astonishing thing to say. I think secondly as well, the jury is in now. Labour have utterly failed on the small boats. And the reason I say that is because when the Tories are struggling on it, and let's be clear, I'm not suggesting we did a good job, we didn't. They made it so much harder to achieve anything. Left-wing organisations taking the government to court, the Labour Party voted against everything they could in Parliament. We haven't done that to them, and they have still failed abysmally. I think that Yvette Cooper needs to look again at her deal with the French, because they clearly are not fulfilling it, and we are paying lots of money. She needs to start to suggest the money can be spent elsewhere.
You can't have a Home Secretary who is willing to say, or via legal representatives in court, that the needs of foreigners are more important, illegal foreigners, by the way, are more important than her own citizens. It's game over.
It's disgraceful. I'm absolutely disgusted, and I think she's completely out of touch. She probably thinks that all the mums and dads that have been on those protests in Epping are just, far-right racist bigots because she lives in her bubble and doesn't go out and speak to these people. And it is crazy that you've got a Home Secretary sending her lawyers arguing that ECHR, human rights laws are more important than the safety of women and girls.
Yeah, Matthew, I'll bring you in on this as well. Now, look, do you think her position seriously is tenable? I mean, you've also got the other angle that she was willing, or via her lawyers again, to say in court today, which is that serious sexual assault allegations against a British schoolgirl are not grounds enough to warrant the closure of a migrant hotel. I mean, what is serious enough?
Well, first of all, she wants to close every migrant hotel because that's the government policy. There are fewer migrant hotels than there were under the previous government, the Tory government. Admittedly, there were more people in them, but there's fewer sites, so at least that tries to control the problem, and then moving towards having no sites. And above all, we want a Home Secretary who respects the law. She's not saying it's her priority. She's saying she has a legal duty. If she had a choice, and she could wave a magic wand, I disagree with Chloe. She would. In fact, she would end the small boats crisis instantly. The problem is there are laws in the way. And legally, the problem with this is that the decision about the bell in Epping is it will mean that those residents have nowhere to go. There is literally nowhere for them to go, and legally her duty to ensure under the European Convention, which we're still in for now, means that she has to find them somewhere to go.
What about just outright incompetence?
Yeah, but none of even if you take all of what Matthew said is correct, none of that justifies the idea that it's their welfare above British citizens' welfare. None of that justifies that at all. It's not per se the welfare of migrants above British citizens. It is in this particular instance of remember, this case is about the planning use. The actual legal case is about the planning permission for the Bell Hotel. Like the splitters here, there should be no circumstance. That's the point. No circumstance where you even have to question yourself if the welfare... She's elected to look after the people of Britain.
And at the moment, of course, nobody's been found guilty around the Epping thing, and that will obviously come into the consideration.
The one thing I will say about closing down a migrant hotel because of this allegation, it is an allegation, and we are, in this country, innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
And the point I want to make is that we mustn't let these situations change who we are. And our rules say innocent to prove guilty. If there's a question to answer, let's answer it, but let's see what the police come up with.
But I do hear that. But there is the other aspect to this, which is downright incompetence, which is that the Home Office did not challenge or make any representation about this hearing when it was in the High Court. So when they had the opportunity to do it, they did it. It was when both sides had made their case and they found out that the judge had reached a verdict, and then all of a sudden the Home Secretary decided to get involved. And her lawyers have stood up again in full view of the British press and the British public today and basically said the reason we didn't do that was because it was August and we're very sorry. All right, so what? She's gone interrailing with Ed Balls and she's invisible during the most important case in modern times when it comes to illegal immigration. You have to go over that alone, surely.
Yeah, I mean, the incompetence is just off the scale, not just on this, but since she got into power. She campaigned on a promise to smash the gangs and set up this new border force control command, or whatever she called it, or border farce, as you should probably call it. And then they came in July, and the entire summer, when it's July, August, lovely sunny weather, the boats just came in and they didn't even have somebody in charge of the new border force command until the autumn, after the big hurry of people coming across in the summer. There's no urgency whatsoever, and let's not forget this is the woman who held up a refugees welcome sign. I do not think she has genuine conviction about this issue.
I just want to ask you...
Well, genuine refugees are and should be welcome.
I just want to...
The problem is, again, I said it from the very, we've conflated refugees with economic migrants.
Yeah.
We've conflated people who need help to people who will play our system. And until she grows a pair and says, actually, I will separate out these two groups of people and deal with them accordingly, she will always fail. And the idea that she'll smash the gangs, I said it before, unless you have a relationship across the sea, you're never getting it done.
If this was a Conservative Home Secretary...
Oh, good grief, yes.
And they'd said that they were going to smash the gangs, and the boat crossings were like 40 or 50% up, whatever they are, and we had more people now in migrant hotels than before, and they'd not bothered to turn up to court to make a representation in the first instance claimed initially they didn't know the trial was happening, then claimed they didn't really do it because they were on holiday, and then they claimed publicly that the needs of the foreign illegal migrants outweighed the needs of the local British people, you'd be calling for them to resign.
For sure.
Wouldn't you?
Well, look, I think there clearly is a problem in the Home Office. The Home Office lawyers completely, I'm trying to think of a polite word to say, it up. So, look, and the Home Office is not been fit for purpose, frankly, for 20 years. We said that last time we were in government. I would do more radical change on the Home Office. In terms of Yvette having a holiday, all politicians, all human beings are allowed a holiday. Even those sitting on these sofas do. And clearly, Angela Eagles, the migration minister, she's a very experienced politician. From the political point of view, there's always been somebody in charge. Clearly, the law is messed up. Labour, but you're right. I mean, Labour will be judged on its promise. If those numbers haven't gone right down by the time of the next election, my party's going to be in real trouble. There's no doubt about that. If those hotels are not closed, then they will be judged on that.
I do wonder, sorry guys, can we just bring up that Telegraph headline that I had in my monologue there at the start, just before we go on to a slightly different aspect of this, which is one of the judges that's involved in this case. But never in my life did I think I would read a headline quite like this. I mean, it is utterly astonishing. It's about the trumping of essentially asylum seekers' rights over that of the British people. We'll bring it up in a second. But when I saw that on the page today, I thought that is devastating. It's gutting. It's galling. But let's wheel ourselves on. We'll get up in a second, just to remind ourselves. But let's wheel ourselves on to talk about this issue with this judge, Lord Justice Bean. I will say again, we have to work off. Yeah, go on, bring it up. Bring the headline up. There you go. Asylum seekers' rights outweigh local concerns. Home Office says that is a scandal. That is a scandalous headline.
Couldn't agree more.
It's sickening to see that written down on...
But the thing is that the Home Office isn't just saying that asylum seekers' rights outweigh local concerns. They're saying asylum seekers' rights outweigh planning laws. They're saying because we're the Home Office, we're too big to fail, we can just completely ignore planning rules. Whereas I'm sure if I said, I care about this homeless veteran's human rights and his welfare, I'm just going to build some big extension on my house so he can live there, and I'm not going to tell the council, I'm not going to apply for planning permission. I'm sure the council will come round and tell me to knock it down. But when it's asylum seekers and someone who's turned up illegally and you're the Home Office doing it, they just think, we'll do whatever we want.
Well, I want to put this one to you because, again, we mentioned the one of the judges. There's three Lord Justices who are presiding over this current case now. And, look, we just have to assume that people who were maybe once politically active are capable of behaving in a way that's politically neutral now. However, I do wonder, and I worry, Matthew, that for the average man and woman on the street, when they see that Lord Justice Bean was reportedly, a Labour Party member for 28 years, the chairman of the Fabian Society, which is really quite rampant socialist organisation, isn't it? And set up matrix chambers, which is the same chambers that our Attorney General went to, worked for, and the same chambers that the lawyer for Mauritius over the Jacob worked for. You do wonder why they didn't pick another judge.
Well, of course, the government doesn't pick the judges. The legal system picks decides who does overtrial. I would actually say I would slightly contradict you, Patrick, because I'd say that makes him one of the more right-wing members of the judiciary compared to the far left activists. You're a little hard on the Fabians, who are kind of sweet bunch of people who were involved in the early days of the Labour Party, keep going and are kind of moderate. So they're definitely not Corbynistas. So actually, I think that probably makes them a moderate on the judicial benches.
Again, I'm very pains to say, in case I know watching can't tell, that there is no indication that this man, of course, is biased or is... But I'm worried about how it might look, Matthew. It certainly makes the argument quite easy.
If I'd been the person deciding which judge to do which case, maybe I wouldn't have chosen him to do that, but it's not the government that did it.
Is it not a little bit like... So, if I had a Manchester United season ticket for 28 years and then all of a sudden I became a referee... I don't know, it just seems a bit...
The point is this, our legal system is very used to acting impartially as far as it sees itself. But today, their actions are seen more and more in a political light. Whoever gets to choose these judges needs to have that in mind, because they could go this way and ultimately the political system will be sent for them. Our legal system is nice, it's independent, it's great. They should be a little bit more cognizant of the impact they have, because we have a lot of misinformation. We have a lot of conspiracy theories going around, and little things like this speak to that and build it up. We need someone to just be aware of that when they're appointing people.
Yeah, OK. And again, look, I'm just going to say this, that, we have to believe that people are able, once they go into certain different lines of work, they're able to leave things at the door, and that is, they are beyond reproach and all of that stuff. So there we go. But I just thought it was an interesting detail. But we'll have to wait and see what the result of this is. I am concerned, Chloe, about what the potential ramifications of this could be. Because, regardless of what the verdict is here, it looks a little bit like the Home Office has gone against the overwhelming will of the people.
Absolutely. I mean, even if this judge comes out in the Home Office's favour, I mean, there's going to be, as you say, it's not going to look very good. But second of all, people say even if this judge has made the right decision, the fact that the Home Office appealed this just shows how much contempt they have for the people of this country.
Okay.
Our politicians are meant to serve us, but they're just going against us all the time, it seems.
All right. Well, I do want to get to this because it's important. This has apparently literally just come through to us seconds ago, and it is a spokesperson for the government. So I'm going to let's see what they've had to say here. They say that these quotes are not accurate, were neither said by the Home Secretary or on her behalf. Now, I'm assuming what they mean by that is the headlines that we brought up earlier on, where they were summarising the points that were made in the case earlier on. So I'll read that again. These quotes are not accurate and were neither said by the Home Secretary or on her behalf. The Home Office's legal case in Epping is based around setting out the legal obligation the government has to prevent those in the asylum system from ending up sleeping rough in communities. We understand concerns around housing asylum seekers in hotels. Since taking office, we have taken immediate action to fix the asylum system and have started closing down hotels and returning more than 35,000 people with no right to be here. From over 400 asylum hotels open in the summer 2023, costing almost £9 million a day, there are now less than 210, and we want them all closed by the end of this Parliament. Although fact-checkers say that Labour has only shut down 3... Sorry, their statement finished there. This is now something else. Although fact-checkers say that Labour has only shut 3, the 200-something were actually closed under the Conservatives. So, as ever, there appears to be some confusion about a statement from the government. Right, OK, quite a meaty top of hour there.